Hey everybody, it's Ken again with Xmods Gaming, shooting another video. So this one's going to be about the Game Boy Advance. This is my son's Game Boy Advance, and it has a broken LCD screen. So when he was a kid, he left it on the floor, and he wanted me to restore it. So when he left it on the floor, I stepped on it. So I'm just going to put one of these new aftermarket screens in. And this is like original Game Boy Advance. So the current screen doesn't have a backlight on it, and you have to play it in direct sunlight. And it's a color LCD, but it's weird because it just doesn't have a backlight on it, and people are kind of used to having a backlight on it nowadays. So just for those who don't know, are not used to, or not old enough to know about the Game Boy Advance or had one growing up. So I already have it torn apart just because I was seeing what type of kit I needed. So here's the LCD screen, and I think I might have to cut. It's just an AliExpress HiSpeed-do, I think is the brand. And before you order it, you have to determine what I like to do is another reason why I took it apart is to determine if it's a 40 pin ZIF connector or if it's a 30 pin or 32 pin, I think. And then they give you both ribbons on this kit. So depending on the kit you buy, you might have to tear it apart and check and see which one it is. So I'm just taking these Phillips screws out. This is more or less going to be just because I'm kind of into it. Not a full-on tutorial, but just a kind of like a walkthrough in a way, but just not a full teardown. But to initially get these out, you have these tri-wing screws, and you have to, and the tri-wings, like it's like a Phillips, but there's only 3 instead of 4, so it looks like a Y. So you just have to get a screwdriver that does that. So even Walmart sells that. I use the Hyper Tough kit, and you just have to look for the tri-wing in it. All right, so there's a broken LCD screen. And I think this new one, yeah, I'm going to have to cut along. So I'm going to have to use some like flush cuts. And then you want to pull out all your buttons, kind of set them aside. And then it even comes with a new glass lens on this one. And this one, I didn't know it was going to be this yellow really, but my son just wanted to keep the original bezel, but with how yellow it is, I should have probably, got a replacement. It's probably from like sunlight and just grime and stuff. There's a couple chips on it, probably from people dropping it. And I think back in the day, I bought this used off of eBay when Game Boy Advances were cheaper. I think Game Boy Advances nowadays run about $100, I think, or $75 unmodded. A lot of them nowadays you're going to find mod just because, this is easier than the Game Gear mod. And Game Gear mods requires a lot of soldering, replacing all the capacitors. So a lot of people do this as their first mod just because it is usually just drop in. Some kits have a touch sensor. I don't think this is one of those kits. It might be. I'd have to read more about it. But yeah, I'll get started on this. All right, so the first thing we have to do is we're going to put in the board. So get something like a spudger. Oh, okay, you don't need a spudger for this. Doesn't look like it. Oh, it's on the back side. And then you insert this. There's all kind of a white line right there. So I'm going to put that down so the backside comes up. And then we're going to get the 40 pin. So that says game and this says LCD. So we're just going to insert that, looks like. Okay, that's up. And I think the pins go up. And then this is going to go into your connector here. So yeah, so the gold pins go up. So I'm not going to do it right now just because I'm not ready for that step yet. But yeah, it's going to fold over like this. And I don't know. Feels like that's not in all the way, but I'll double check to see if that's the way it's gonna go. And then when I'm ready, I have a piece of double-sided tape, so I'll probably just use that to stick this down. And then it looks like you have to solder these connectors right here for different inputs onto back of the board, like P8's one of them, to access the menu. So I think the next step is I'm just gonna Dremel this part out, this little strip right here. So I just have to do this, not this, just this stuff on the flat part. And I'll get going on that. All right, so right here I just have a little $10 9-volt Dremel. It's not even a Dremel brand, it's just some knockoff that's used for like crafts that I gotten from Walmart many years ago. So I'm going to use this. I do have a bigger Dremel that can take a bolt off, but this one shouldn't need much. And you're just going to grind these parts down. Now your kit might be different. And I might switch to probably to like more of a cutoff wheel, because we're not worried about the scratched up plastic screen. That's why I just left that in there. But yeah, I can just switch that out. See, this one's like a diamond, has like diamond dust in it. And you can pretty much use whatever you prefer to do it. And let's see, do I have a flathead? I think that's tight enough, actually. So I'm just gonna do that and take your time with it, no rush. So we'll get that taken care of. All right, so now that we have that taken care of, and you're gonna have like pieces of plastic dust everywhere, but just use I have like a little hand vacuum to kind of pick up most of it, because you don't want this under your new lens at all. So that came out pretty clean. So yeah, what you want to do is just kind of, I'm just gonna place this gasket on. Only downside to these screens, like once you put the gasket on, you kind of have to commit to it. Yeah, it kind of overlaps a little bit. But also another trick that you can do is you can leave the back side of the gasket on. And this kit gives you 2 gaskets, so you don't really have to commit that much. And then I believe, oh yeah, that's the top. So you got the top. It looks like you just have to come down to that point. And then push it down. And then hook your board up and then give it a test. So I'll probably try to do kind of a functional test. Not sure if I'll turn on at this point, but All right, I don't even know if I have that in frame, but yeah, I got that in. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is just get it to a point where I can do a functional test on it. All right, we have our functional test here. Adjust the brightness. So you just want to put the double A's in the back with the board and just like leave the buttons out. And then just use like a screwdriver or something to turn it on and off. I have a game right here. Put the game in. And then we got Mario Brothers showing up. I don't know, it's black and white. That's what I hate about these little touch buttons. See, now it's just touching on that, so it's on this ribbon. You got that touch button. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of just fit everything and then clean it up some more, and then we'll try it again. Okay, making sure it still worked because it did turn off. So get going on that one. All right, so we have the screen in, the lens in. Now we're just gonna start putting everything back together without trying to pull on this ribbon cable too much. And then we're going to start putting our Phillips screws back in as well. Nope. And I can't remember what points we had for that. So, but yeah, we're just going to put all our buttons in and everything else. These are keyed, so you can't mess them up. And then we have the shoulder buttons. So that's right and then left. Oh yeah. So we got right and then left, and then this is probably the hardest part. And I totally forgot how these go in. But what I'll do is I'll figure that out and come back. Alright, so once you have all your buttons on the front, then you want to put it down like a sandwich. Make sure these click, your L and R buttons. And then you'll have some, put your Phillips screws back in. Don't forget your power switch. And then I think that might be, is it only those two? Looking on iFixit just because I lost track of the screws. And it looks like another Phillips goes in right here. And then you want to go ahead and put the back of this on. I didn't really clean the back, so it's kind of grubby. And I have fingerprints all over the screen, but and then I'll give it one more test here. You want to put your tri-wings back here, of course, but give it one more test. Start. Try it out. So I got that touch button interfering when I press on it. But I'm going to try to put all the screws back in and see if it, because now it's changing colors. So I have that touch button right here, right under this. So you guys might want to move it, but we'll see how it goes. This is like my first Game Boy Advance mod, so so I'll put all the tri-wings back in and everything. If you like videos like this, please comment, rate, subscribe. Like I said, this is not like a tutorial. It's just kind of like a walkthrough of what I'm doing, just because I haven't put up videos in a while. I had the flu for like a week, and then I've been busy with work. So, this is just kind of a hobby for me, really. Even the customer mods I do or repairs even is just kind of a side hustle. So other than that, it's Ken with XMods Gaming signing out. I'll see you guys next time.